The Other Wise Man by Henry Van Dyke, Part 3, The Pilgrimage Begins. "This is a dark saying," said Tigranes, "and it may be that we shall never understand it. It is better to consider the things that are near at hand and to increase the influence of the Magi in their own country rather than to look for one who may be a stranger and to whom we must resign our power." The others seemed to approve these words. There was a silent feeling of agreement manifest among them. Their looks responded with that indefinable expression which always follows when a speaker has uttered the thought that has been slumbering in the hearts of the listeners. But Artaban turned to Abgarus with a glow on his face and said, "My father, I have kept this prophecy in the secret place of my soul. Religion without a great hope would be like an altar without a living fire, and now the flame is burned more brightly, and by the light of it I have read other words which also have come from the fountain of truth, and speak yet more clearly of the rising of the victorious one in his brightness." He drew from the breast of his tunic 2 small rolls of fine linen, with writing upon them, and unfolded them carefully upon his knee. "In the years that are lost in the past, long before our fathers came into the land of Babylon, there were wise men in Chaldea, from whom the first of the Magi learned the secret of the heavens. And of these Balaam the son of Beor was one of the mightiest. Hear the words of his prophecy. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall arise out of Israel." The lips of Tigranes drew downward in contempt as he said, "Judah was a captive by the waters of Babylon, and the sons of Jacob were in bondage to our kings. The tribes of Israel are scattered throughout the mountains like lost sheep, and from the remnant that dwells in Judea under the yoke of Rome neither star nor scepter shall arise." "And yet," answered Artaban, "it was the Hebrew Daniel, the mighty searcher of dreams, the counselor of kings, the wise Belteshazzar, who was the most honored and beloved of our great King Cyrus. A prophet of sure things and a reader of the thoughts of God, Daniel proved himself to our people. And these are the words that he wrote." Artaban read from the second scroll. "Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore Jerusalem unto the Anointed One, the Prince, the time shall be 67 weeks." "But my son," said Abgarus doubtfully, "these are mystical numbers. Who can interpret them, or who can find the key that shall unlock their meaning?" Artaban answered, "It has been shown to me and to my 3 companions among the Magi, Caspar, Melchior, and Balthazar. We have searched the ancient tablets of Chaldea and computed the time. It falls in this year. We have studied the sky, and in the spring of the year we saw the 2 greatest stars draw near together in the sign of the fish, which is the house of the Hebrews. We also saw a new star there, which shone for 1 night and then vanished. Now again the great 2 planets are meeting. This night is their conjunction. My 3 brothers are watching at the ancient temple of the 7 spheres at Borsippa in Babylonia, and I am watching here. If the star shines again, they will wait 10 days for me at the temple, and then we will set out together for Jerusalem to see and worship the promised one who shall be born King of Israel. I believe the sign will come. I have made ready my journey. I have sold my house and my possessions, and I bought these 3 jewels, a sapphire, a ruby, and a pearl, to carry them as tribute to the king, and I ask you to go with me on the pilgrimage, that we may have joy together in finding the prince who is worthy to be served." While he was speaking, he thrust his hand into the inmost fold of his girdle and drew out 3 great gems, one blue as a fragment of the night sky, one redder than a ray of sunrise, and one as pure as the peak of a snow mountain at twilight, and laid them on the outspread linen scrolls before him. But his friends looked on with strange and alien eyes. A veil of doubt and mistrust came over their faces, like a fog creeping up from the marshes to hide the hills. They glanced at each other with looks of wonder and pity, as those who have listened to incredible sayings, the story of a wild vision, or the proposal of an impossible enterprise. At last Tigranes said, Artaban, this is a vain dream. It comes from too much looking at the stars and the cherishing of lofty thoughts. It would be wiser to spend the time in gathering money for the new fire temple at Kala. No king will ever rise from the broken race of Israel, and no end will ever come to the eternal strife of light and darkness. He who looks for it is a chaser of shadows. Farewell. And another said, Artaban, I have no knowledge of these things, and my office as guardian of the royal treasure binds me here. The quest is not for me, but if thou must follow it, fare thee well. And another said, In my house there sleeps a new bride, and I cannot leave her, nor take her with me on this strange journey. This quest is not for me. But may thy steps be prospered wherever thou goest, so farewell. And another said, I am ill and unfit for hardship, but there is a man among my servants whom I will send with thee, when thou goest, to bring me word of how thou farest. But Abgarus, the oldest, and the one who loved Artaban the best, lingered after the others had gone and said gravely, My son, it may be that the light of truth is in this sign that has appeared in the skies, and then it will surely lead to the prince and the mighty brightness. Or it may be that it is only a shadow of the light, as Tigranes has said, and then he who follows it will have only a long pilgrimage and an empty search. But it is better to follow even the shadow of the best than to remain content with the worst, and those who would see wonderful things must often be ready to travel alone. I am too old for this journey, but my heart shall be a companion of the pilgrimage day and night. So, one by one, they went out of the azure chamber with its silver stars, and Artaban was left in solitude. He gathered up the jewels and replaced them in his girdle. For a long time he stood and watched the flame that flickered and sank upon the altar. Then he crossed the hall, lifted the heavy curtain, and passed out between the dull red pillars of periphery to the terrace on the roof. The shiver that thrills through the earth ere she rouses from her night's sleep had already begun, and the cool wind that heralds the daybreak was drawing downward from the lofty snow-traced ravines of Mount Orontes. Birds, half awakened, crept and chirped along the rustling leaves, and the smell of ripened grapes came in brief wafts from the arbors. Far over the eastern plain, a white mist stretched like a lake. But where the distant peak of Zagros serrated the western horizon, the sky was clear. Jupiter and Saturn rolled together like drops of lambent flame about to blend in one. As Artaban watched them, behold, an azure spark was born out of the darkness beneath, rounding itself with purple splendors to a crimson sphere, and spiring upward through the rays of saffron and orange into a point of white radiance. Tiny and infinitely remote, yet perfect in every part, it pulsated in the enormous vault, as if the three jewels in the Magian's breast had mingled and been transformed into a living heart of light. He bowed his head. He covered his brow with his hands. It is the sign. The king is coming, and I will go to meet him.